Is anybody actually surprised by this? Lots of recent articles popping up saying that Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League has fallen short of sales expectations. Again, is anybody actually surprised by this news? You can't be. With all of the delays and weird things that have gone on during the development of this game, the reputation it's garnered over the years, nobody can be surprised by this. Can they? So for those who don't know, Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was developed by a beloved video game studio, Rocksteady, who created the Batman Arkham series, Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, and Arkham Knight. A great set of games, honestly. These are, if you haven't played these games, you have to play them. Regardless if you're a fan of Batman or not, these are games, if you are just a fan of action, if you are just a fan of good games in general, these are ones you have to check out. They're awesome. But Suicide Squad did not live up to the expectations of Batman Arkham series for a lot of reasons, I feel. So if you're not privy to what I'm talking about here, or even if you are, and you just need a refresher, let's go over just a brief timeline of the Suicide Squad development cycle here. Back in 2015, Arkham Knight was released. That is the third game in the Arkham Asylum series by Rocksteady. I guess technically there's 4 games, but is the third of the core series that Rocksteady developed. During that time, since that time, they've been developing Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League. In fact, there's actually a little bit of information on the internet to support that development had started earlier than that, possibly 2012, possibly even 2010, which obviously would have been pre-production, it would have been planning, that kind of thing. It wasn't, probably a actual development studio putting a game together, but that is how early this game has been in development, at least in talks to be developed, which is crazy, right? But during all that time, we didn't hear much about this game until 2020 when they revealed that's what Rocksteady was working on all this time, was the Suicide Squad game. We didn't get a gameplay trailer, we just got a CG trailer, which was actually pretty cool. You got a feel for the game, you got a feel for the tone of the game, the characters, the dialogue, that kind of thing. It actually was pretty promising at the time. And one of the cool things about this trailer was it was revealed what Rocksteady had been working on all this time. There were so many rumors about what they were working on. Some thought it was a Superman game. Some thought it was a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game. It came to find out that I guess they were working on a unlicensed multiplayer game, just like an original multiplayer game, and then I guess it was changed to a Suicide Squad game at some point. I don't know. There's a lot of there's a lot of rumors and a lot of information about what could have been going on at the time. But regardless, about a year later, well, actually, more like almost a year and a half later, in 2021, they revealed the gameplay for the game, which showed a team-based style game. And people, again, I feel like they were still excited for this game, though I feel like announcing it so early and then waiting a year and a half to actually show off the gameplay was just like such a bad decision. I could go on a tangent about that, but maybe we'll save that for another video. Then in March 2022, I should say that in that gameplay trailer, they did have a release date shown for 2022, but just a few months later, in March of 2022, they delayed the game to spring of 2023. Then at the end of 2022 in October, it was revealed that Sefton Hill and Jamie Walker, who are 2 co-founders of Rocksteady, were leaving the company. Now, at this time, there were some accusations about sexual harassment that were going on at the company. Some female employees saying that their complaints went unheard or they weren't taken care of properly. Whatever the situation was, it wasn't good. A lot of this was going on during the pandemic with different video game companies, which was really strange at the time to hear that this was going on. And Rocksteady was no different. They also had some of this going on, supposedly, in the behind the scenes. Regardless of why they left, whether it was because of them dealing with that or them dealing with Warner Brothers, I don't know. Maybe they just wanted to leave to get away from DC characters, because at this point they had been working on Batman and Suicide Squad games for over a decade. So they probably just wanted a fresh start. Maybe. I don't know. It's all conjecture at this point. But either way, they left. 2 of the co-founders, who were cited as 2 huge components of the Arkham series were gone. And that is kind of crazy because I guess at this point they assumed the game was coming out in early 2023 and they just were like, yeah, okay, looks like the game's coming out. I think you got it from here. We're taking off to go work on something new. Bye. And actually just recently they announced that their new studio is currently hiring people. And I believe they're taking people from Rocksteady. But again, a topic for another video. So anyway, during this time, it was getting close to release 2020, spring 2023 to have the game come out. And an image came out in January 2023 that shows that the game would have a battle pass, loadout, mission. It had like a missions in it, seemingly showcasing that the game might be a live service game, which a lot of people were not happy about. So already we've got delays, we've got live service stuff going on in the game. And then the next month in February 2023, an official FAQ came out to say that the game would have a constant internet connection. It would be required to play the game. So right after that, they also delayed the game to 2024. So it was like boom, boom, boom. It was like announced it's a live service game. You have to be online and it's delayed in 2024. So at this point, this game doesn't have this great reputation. When you reveal a game super early and you delay it a few times, you have to understand that your game is going to garner a bad reputation. People immediately are going to be like, what is wrong with this game? Why does it keep getting delayed? Why did the founders leave? What is going on, right? Oh, yeah. So fast forward all the way to 2024. We're finally here. And the game came out at the end of January, beginning of February, somewhere in that realm. And they had issues with the servers, and there was some kind of bug where the game was auto-completing for gamers that had paid extra to be in the early access of it. The game came out, I think it was a week early for the early access people. They're almost kind of a glorified, beta team that were testing the game in a way because the servers were really messed up and this glitch was like I said, auto completing for the gamers, letting them know like, hey, you had already finished this game, so you're done. They're just like, what? Fast forward a few weeks later, and the game doesn't seem to have much of a player base with it. I guess Steam numbers are super low. And again, after that timeline, can anybody really be surprised by that? And all that stuff aside, I think that one of the biggest issues isn't just the fact that it's a live service game, because if this game were released for free or a very small amount of money, I think it'd be doing a lot better. But I think in this day and age, in 2024, you just can't release a live service game for $70. Who is going to buy that? When you have other live service games that are free to play, like Fortnite. Fortnite is a behemoth of a game, and it's free to play. You only have to pay for costumes and that kind of thing. And with Suicide Squad, you have the same type of game. It's a live service, but you got to pay the nominal $70 entry fee. If not, some of these early access players were paying more than that. About, what was it, like $100? They're paying $100 to not be able to play the game and also to have to unlock things through a battle pass and all this other. Like, man, for me with a live service game, this is how I've always felt about them, is that that's the reason they're set up the way they are, is because they're free. You're going to want to pay them to skip levels or pay them to get cosmetics or, pay them for this or that because the game was free. If the game is free in the first place, then it makes sense. But I think the days of paying for a live service game up front are kind of over. I feel like that might have died with Overwatch. As much as I loved Overwatch and as much time as I put into that game, I don't think there's any way I would ever pay much money, much less like $70 for a live service game. There's no way. I just couldn't do it. So I got to be honest. I mean, with the bad reputation and the fact that they're charging that much money for the game, it's just not a good combination. And, I know a couple videos back, I talked about Immortals of Avium, and I talked about how it could take years to really actually figure out what went wrong with the release of a game. But I feel like with Suicide Squad that the writing is on the wall for it. Like, I don't think there's much research you have to do here to figure out what the issue is. Again, I know this is a game they worked on for so long and there was so much money involved, but I just feel like had they released it for like 30, $40, it may have done better. Release it for free and, have a premium battle pass. I don't know. Any option I think would have been better than $70. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know what to make of some of these games that come out that companies are spending that much money on and they're just completely failing. They're not getting a player base. They're not selling millions of copies. You think the amount of research that companies do on what players want. Oh wait, that's not what they do. They do research on what's going to make them money. That's one of the other things here too. One of the factors we didn't mention is the fact that this game was in development for 10 years. If it was always a multiplayer game, if it was always going to be a live service game, then the game would have had to go through several iterations over the course of the last 10 years that the live service type of game has changed and evolved. So, 7 years ago when they were developing it, they probably had a completely different pricing model in mind for the game. Even in 2020, 4 years ago, is probably different than it is now. But at some point, they threw a dart at it and said, this is what we're doing. We're charging $70. They're still going to be able to buy premium stuff, battle passes and cosmetics and that kind of thing. And that's what they decided to do, which at the end of the day, greed gets you every time, right? Which I think is where we're at here. And I get it. It's DC, right? They should be able to make a ton of money with Batman and other DC characters. But at the end of the day, $70 for a live service game where you're playing with your friends, which, hey, could be a fun game. I don't know. I haven't played it because I'm not paying $70 for a live service game. But at the end of the day, you're just unlocking cosmetics and stuff like that. It's like, yeah. I don't know, man. Boy, this one kind of hurts to talk about, honestly. But that's where we're at here. Suicide Kill the Justice League. What do you all think, though? Why do you think this game is not doing well? Do you think it's because it's a live service game? Do you think it's because of the pricing? Do you think it's a different reason? Please let me know in the comments. GG, everyone, and I'll see you all in the next one.